Hey there, I'm Andrew from Club Ready DJ School, and this video is for people considering upgrading from a 2-channel to a 4-channel controller and the reasons why you might consider something with 4 channels. So this video though almost does feel a little bit like a 2-part from last week's video. So perhaps after this, if you know you're lost on anything or want more details about how to use familiar patterns and the advantages of doing that, perhaps go and have a look at the previous week's video. But just jumping in, there are so many advantages to mixing with more than 2 decks. So for instance, right, in last week's video, I did talk about using familiar patterns, vocals, or even acapellas, just on parts of the track. So say I've got a song playing here with not a lot going on. Maybe I could tease in elements and just bring a little bit more excitement to it. And, you know, maybe tease in potential songs I'm going to play. There's a lot of possibilities by doing that. But the only downside is sometimes you may miss your mix out point. And that's exactly where mixing with 2 decks can be beneficial. See, what I mean by that is, let's imagine I've got a track playing here and there's a bit of a down point, maybe a breakdown. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go put like a cool vocal on that. And in a way, do like a mashup on the fly. But let's say now it's building up and then I'm about to mix into my new song. But I missed that point because I'm too busy messing around with my mashup and stuff. And what it means is then I stop the mashup, I have to go load up another deck and you kind of lose energy. What I want is, I want the vocal over this song. And then as they both build up together, then I go to a new track. So let's jump in though. But firstly, right, I personally do like using club gear, but a number of people have requested videos where I replicate how I would use club gear, but using controllers. And I know for a fact that DDJ1000 is one of the most popular mid-range controllers out there. But even if you don't have the DDJ1000, it really doesn't matter. All you need is something that has 4 channels, okay? And if you're using club gear, you're gonna need 4 CDJs, so it can get expensive. But if you do have a 4-channel controller, with any luck, the decks have dual players, and I'll show you that in a second. But if they don't, you'll probably be able to connect extra decks at the back, but it will involve getting more. Now, just quickly, for those new to this, what I mean by dual players is you can actually load 2 decks onto either deck and have both of them, like 4 decks actually, all playing together simultaneously, and you can control it all with the EQ. Okay, but and what there is on this here, there's actually a button next to each deck here. So what I've got deck select. So this is channels 1 and 3, and this is 2 and 4. So 1 and 3, you can see here on the mixer, 2, 1 and 3 is this side, 2 and 4 is that side. So what I can do is I can load a song on here, and I'll show you that in a second. And then once that's playing, I could go load another song up here as well. So for my first example, let's imagine, I'm just painting a scenario here to help you understand how it kind of would work. But let's imagine, you know, you've got a cool breakdown, but you want to spice it up a bit and put a vocal of another track into that breakdown. And you're essentially doing, like I mentioned before, a mashup on the fly, but let's say you get carried away and you miss your mix out point. So by using a 3rd deck, I can then bring in a 3rd track to basically keep the energy moving, and hence I can probably draw out my transitions further and I get a lot more creative control. So let's do one. So now I'll just go over here, get my next song. Okay, cool, go to my cue. Okay, I can see my BPMs, that's good. I might just fast forward to my point and see what you'll see here by looking at the end here, that's my mix out point. But you see, my vocal here is going to take me right up to that point, so I really need the 3rd deck to keep the energy moving. Let's have a look. Okay, cool. I'm going to go get another song ready now. And I can flick back here just to see where I am in this song. There's my mix out point coming up. So So just got to be mindful of that. Okay, I'll stop there, but man, that is so much fun. So what happened there, I had to break down my vocal going, but my vocal went right up until my mix out point. And if I only had 2 players, I just would have had to cut that short to get my new song in on time, or basically just miss my mix out point, which is not ideal either. So, okay, that's actually really cool. Let's do another example. Now, by the way, just quickly, one quick tangent just on mix out points and mix in points. Yes, there are 2 main ways to mix, and one is actually without cue points at all, and you're just taking guesses by looking at the waveform, and I love doing that. I really do love mixing like that, especially where I'm getting to know new tracks. But what I find is by setting cue points, you can actually map your songs in advance, assuring that everything lines up perfectly all the time. So there's definitely, there's different schools of thoughts on both. But so let's say you are jamming without cues and you're like, oh wow, that bit would have been really cool there. That's when setting cue points, you can just make everything line up. And let's say you've got a really important show coming up. To be honest, I reckon I might kind of do a little bit of preparation. I think a lot of the big DJs at the highest standard probably are. So if you're not sure about where to set in and out points, check out, I'll link in my free, it's in my free mini course, right? So I'll put in a link below, so that's definitely worth signing up for. But anyway, let's go do another example. Okay, so I'll just go back to deck 1 here, and let's just go down and I'll just get some different feels, you know, it'll be cool. So this one's playing. Yeah, I was just messing around on those rolls and just having some fun, but you kind of get the idea. There's a lot going on. It's kind of like a video game. You're like, oh my God, what's happening? You start then adding effects, you build on it. It's actually really, really cool. Let's go do one more. Okay, so This one here, so those were just coming in after the chorus with my third track, but now let's replace the drop with my third song. So let's say for this song, for instance, right, I remember jamming it, and I used to do this, this mashup a little bit, but then I kind of, let's say I've got this song playing, I'd already kind of played a fair bit of it, and let's say I'm mixing into the breakdown in the middle of the song here, let's go to track, put it on track 1, and let's say I've already played this much of the song and I'm putting a vocal in this middle bit, but then, I've already played it, they've already heard the chorus a couple of times, so I'm like, well, I want to kind of keep the energy moving. Maybe I can go put a drop there and replace the drop, so I'm going to actually put a vocal into the breakdown and then replace both songs with a drop of a new song. So again, a lot of fun. Let's go give it a go, okay? Okay, man, I could honestly go on and just do this all day. Like, it's just so much fun. And the goal is, I guess, you put together like a ton of combos and you can just like bust out all these really cool combos. And maybe it takes a little bit of rehearsing, and finding tracks that work well together. But it really is like, it's really exciting. And let's say you've reached a plateau with your DJing. Mixing with 3 decks or even 4 decks, right, it can really take it all to a next level. And if you're keen on that, what I'm going to do is, this is just giving you some examples to personally get you thinking about it. But what I'm going to do in the next few weeks coming up, I'm going to do a 4-deck like mix on this with dual players, where I'll actually, like a showcase set, just incorporating everything I've been teaching in this series in the last few videos, where it's not only going to be doing like, using 4 decks, keeping it moving, then I'm going to be adding the effects. I think I've got a video on that next week. I'm going to actually then not be looking at all as well, with the goal that you can actually pull off like a set, like without visual aid, the same standard of everyone that's syncing and stuff. So I'm talking about no sync, like limited visuals, you know what I mean? And doing it kind of all organically. And that's actually my goal for my students, to be able to just actually be really confident and not relying on sync and waveforming. And that means feeling the music more, separating, not looking at your computer screen the whole time, but just like using that to pick which songs which to play, and then kind of immersing yourself in the music and getting some really strong core foundations down. And if that interests you, definitely check out my courses. So there's different courses. I've got a complete package where you get all my courses, of course, which is what I suggest if you can. But otherwise, there's this, if you want to get your foundations, that first course is really good. But this 3-deck stuff, I've actually got like a Performance Plus course where I've gone into like ways how to, you know, mix more creatively, how to add effects at the right point, like how and where to use them and what they all do. And then also using 3 decks, coming up with like, you know, combinations, how to like catalog those combinations so you can pull from them whenever you need them at those critical moments when you're playing live, and maybe you need to insert some familiarity, finding all the right songs, cueing them, preparing them, and putting it all together. And it really, I don't know, I'm really, really proud of that. And I've had so much positive feedback. But anyway, so that's all really cool. So that gives us a good idea. Now, moving forward, you can also put noise effects on one of the channels, and this in turn can enhance dull moments of the track. Now, again, I'm more into familiar patterns, but this is kind of cool. Now, I know James Hype's renowned for that, doing like, you know, volume, like noise and volume cutting and stuff. But let's say you don't have the hand speed that James Hype's obviously worked to develop. And to be honest, the noise with trance effect kind of does a similar kind of effect. So let me give you an example. So I'll just go here to track. I'm going to put this on the 4th channel here. I'll just go in, have a listen. I've got noise, okay? And I can select trance on here. And let's say I've got 1 beat here. Let's have a listen. Okay, and that's kind of the same as going, you see what I mean? Now I can make it more intense. Okay, and that's actually pretty cool. Now you can also put the trance effects on your pad effects here, okay? But like I mentioned, you don't always have the, or in the clubs a lot of the time, so that's only on, well, the CDJ 3000s actually have like more performance pad features, but these ones here, like you might not be able to replicate what you're doing on here on the club gear. So this here, this is actually probably what you find on a club mixer. So if I was using a club mixer, I would be doing that. But the only disadvantage with this is, and the only advantage that this has over that when using trance is, I can't jump from, let's say I'm at 1/8 there. I can't jump from 1/8 to 1 and split it up. I have to kind of like index through, so I'll get less intense as I go this way. So listen, 1/4, 1/2, 1, okay, that kind of thing, right? As on here, I can set up trance effects on here. I can show you that quickly. Go into my effects and see I've set them up here. So I've got 1, 1/2, 1/4, 8 and 8. Okay, now I'll just hide that for a second. I'll show you. So let's say I've got it, I'm doing them on here. Okay. Yeah, and I think that's going to be a lot easier than trying to do that on here, but still, you know, you mess around, but it's kind of fun. So how I'd actually use it, I'd probably, well, just in the dull moments. So let's do one, right? You know, so just sort of mess around, but again, you know, you can really use those. And I've got actually a 4-deck showcase mix coming up where I'm going to do all this, and I'll incorporate some of those effects in there just so you'll see. But you will notice with me, I kind of do gravitate a lot more about kind of your arrangement, bringing in familiar patterns, teasing stuff, and that's sort of more the way I play. But yeah, there's definitely effects used right can 100% highlight certain transitions. But I think probably one of the most important things is actually finding songs that work well together and crafting something, and sure, having combinations that you can pull from at any point. And that's what my Performance Plus course all goes into. It's like, you know, how to have killer combos at your fingertips anytime, and you just reintegrate, like, oh, I'll go into this song, oh, that's going to go good, and you've got these, you put together these routines, I guess. So I don't know, it's just a way to kind of, I guess, make you stand out from the pack. Anyway, there are so many ways I can use the other channels, like you can do beats and a whole lot of stuff actually. But to be honest, once you start thinking more creatively about new ways to play, it's honestly like opening Pandora's box, and there is no turning back. And I know from personal experience, ever since I started mixing with more than 2 decks, it added a whole level of excitement to the way I play, and helped me to honestly, personally push through like a plateau that I found. I was getting a bit bored with it, and then this just takes it to another level. Anyway, like, as I mentioned, the next few weeks I'm going to be doing my first ever 4-channel set on a DDJ 1000, and the goal is to use it like club gear. So that means hide the visuals, beat match by ear, whilst also pulling off all the crazy stuff people are doing. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to support the channel, hit like if you can, it makes me feel good. And you know, just warming up here. Thanks guys.